If you think the S26 Ultra is just a small upgrade, you might be missing the bigger picture entirely. It is very easy to glance at the spec sheet, see the familiar numbers, and assume that Samsung has simply hit the repeat button on last year's model. On paper, the landscape looks incredibly familiar. You see the same 5000 mAh battery capacity listed in bold text. You see the Ultra branding stamped proudly on the back, carrying the weight of expectations built over several generations. You see the dedicated slot for the S Pen, exactly where it has been for years, promising that same tactile precision we have come to rely on. To the casual observer, or even the tech enthusiast scrolling quickly through a list of features, it appears as though nothing has fundamentally shifted. It looks like a safe, conservative iteration, the kind of release that companies put out when they are waiting for a major breakthrough in technology that hasn't arrived yet. But if you stop your analysis there, if you judge this device solely by the raw numbers printed on a marketing slide, you are doing yourself a disservice. Because in real-world use, in the hands of someone who actually lives with this phone day in and day out, the S26 Ultra behaves very differently than its predecessor. It feels different, it responds differently, and crucially, it lasts differently. Today on Tech Gadget, we are going to peel back the layers of marketing speak and break down exactly what Samsung quietly changed under the hood. We are going to explore why the S26 Ultra might be significantly smarter than it looks on the surface, and why these subtle shifts represent a more mature approach to smartphone engineering than the flashy, gimmick-heavy launches we have seen from competitors recently. Before we dive deep into the mechanics of this device, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can get notified on daily tech updates. We strive to bring you research-based insights that go beyond the headline specs, helping you make informed decisions about the technology you invite into your life. Let's start with what is arguably the biggest surprise of this entire generation: battery life. When Samsung announced that the S26 Ultra would retain a 5000 mAh battery, a collective sigh seemed to ripple through the tech community. In an era where every other manufacturer is screaming about new silicon, carbon anode technologies that allow them to squeeze 6000 or even 7000 mAh into a slim chassis, sticking to 5000 felt like a step backward. It felt like Samsung was admitting defeat in the capacity wars. However, performance absolutely has changed, and the results are nothing short of remarkable. In multiple real-world stress tests that simulate heavy usage patterns, continuous video recording, extended gaming sessions, rapid app switching, and constant connectivity, the S26 Ultra is lasting noticeably longer than the previous generation. It is not just matching the old record, it is breaking it by a significant margin. And here is the truly fascinating part: in our controlled comparisons, this phone is even outperforming some rival devices that boast those larger, next-generation silicon-carbon batteries. This tells us something profoundly important about the current state of mobile engineering's optimization and thermal management matter far more than raw capacity numbers. A bigger tank does not help you if your engine is leaking fuel everywhere. Samsung has completely redesigned the internal vapor chamber cooling system, expanding its surface area and improving the fluid dynamics within the phone. The difference shows immediately under load. The phone stays remarkably cooler during intensive tasks, and this thermal stability directly improves energy efficiency. When a processor runs hot, it becomes inefficient, wasting electricity as heat rather than converting it into computation. By keeping the chipset cool, Samsung ensures that every milliwatt of energy from that 5000 mAh cell is used effectively. Less heat means less wasted energy. So while competitors are chasing bigger battery numbers to mask poor efficiency, the S26 Ultra is playing a much smarter, more sophisticated game. Now let's talk about the heart of the machine, the chipset. Inside this phone beats the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy, a customized variant tuned specifically for Samsung's hardware architecture. This chip is not just about peak power benchmarks, it is about sustained performance over time. We have all experienced that phenomenon where a phone feels blazing fast for the first 10 minutes of gaming, only to dim its screen and stutter as the heat builds up. That aggressive thermal throttling is largely a thing of the past with this new silicon. Gaming feels smoother over longer sessions, maintaining high frame rates without the jarring drops that ruin immersion. Rendering 4K video, or even working with high bitrate footage for content creation, no longer causes the system to panic and slow down. But the magic isn't just in the silicon, it is in how that silicon talks to the software. Combined with improved One UI 8.5 optimization, background app management feels tighter than ever before. Apps reopen almost instantly, retaining their state in memory without draining the battery in standby mode. Standby drain is lower, meaning you can leave your phone on the nightstand for 8 hours and wake up with nearly the same percentage you had when you went to sleep. Samsung's adaptive battery learning algorithms seem to kick in quicker this year as well. It feels as though the phone learns your habits within the first 24 hours, optimizing background processes and network usage to match your specific routine. After just a few days of usage, you will likely notice that the battery life actually improves as the system fine-tunes itself to your behavior. And since we mentioned the software, yes, One UI 8.5 deserves serious attention. It is not a dramatic visual overhaul that changes every icon and menu, which is actually a good thing. Instead, it is smarter. The animations feel more fluid, with a physics engine that makes scrolling and transitioning between apps feel weighty and natural, rather than robotic. Privacy controls are more accessible, moved front and center in the quick settings panel, so you don't have to dig through menus to see what your microphone or camera is doing. There is better AI-based app prediction, suggesting the apps you need before you even reach for them, and improved lock screen customization that allows for deeper personalization without cluttering the interface. Perhaps most importantly, there is deeper Galaxy AI integration woven into the fabric of the operating system. This isn't just a chatbot you summon, it is an assistant that helps summarize notifications, translate calls in real time, and edit photos with context-aware understanding. These are subtle changes, but they add up significantly in daily use. The overall experience feels refined rather than flashy. It feels like a tool that gets out of your way and lets you work, rather than a toy that demands your attention. Now we need to address the most talked about feature of this release, the one that has sparked the most debate, the privacy display. This is not just a marketing gimmick designed to sell phones, it is a genuine solution to a real-world problem. When activated, this feature limits viewing angles by selectively controlling pixel output on the OLED panel. Essentially, it narrows the cone of visibility so that only the person holding the phone can see the content clearly. People standing next to you on public transport, sitting beside you in an airport lounge, or glancing over your shoulder in a crowded cafe simply cannot see your screen. What looks like a bright, vibrant display to you appears dark and obscured to anyone else. This is perfect for protecting sensitive information, reading private messages, or working on confidential documents in public spaces. Yes, enabling this mode does slightly reduce maximum brightness and perceived resolution, but that is because certain sub-pixels are intentionally restricted to achieve the privacy effect. This is physics, not a downgrade. The technology manipulates light polarization to create this effect, and the trade-off is minimal considering the security benefit. The smart move for users is to assign this function to the side key for quick access, allowing you to toggle it on only when needed and turn it off when you want to share your screen with a friend. That is how it is meant to be used, as a situational tool that empowers you to control your digital environment. Speaking of the display, Samsung has quietly upgraded the color depth to true 10-bit color. That means instead of the standard 16.7 million colors found in most displays, you are now looking at a palette of over 1 billion colors. The difference can be subtle to the untrained eye, but once you know what to look for, it is noticeable everywhere. Gradients in sky photography look seamless, with no banding or striping. Skin tones appear more lifelike and nuanced, capturing the subtle variations in human complexion. HDR content pops with a realism that feels closer to looking through a window than at a screen. Night photography previews show shadows that blend smoothly into the darkness without losing detail. Colors look more natural across the board. Interestingly, Samsung also adjusted the anti-reflective coating on the glass slightly to make the privacy display feature physically possible. As a side effect of this change, when the screen is off, reflections might appear a bit stronger than last year if you are standing under a direct light source. However, the moment the screen turns on, that coating works in harmony with the high brightness to punch through glare. When the screen is active, it remains one of the best panels on any smartphone right now, offering clarity and vibrancy that sets the industry standard. Another underrated improvement that often goes unnoticed in reviews is the visibility when wearing polarized sunglasses. Previous Ultra models sometimes suffered from a strange optical interference where the screen would become nearly invisible or display rainbow colored distortions at certain angles when viewed through polarized lenses. This was a common complaint among drivers and outdoor enthusiasts. The S26 Ultra fixes that issue completely. The new panel alignment ensures that outdoor visibility feels consistent regardless of the angle of your head or the position of the sun. Whether you are checking maps while hiking or reading messages while driving, the screen remains clear and legible, especially under direct sunlight. This level of polish in the user experience is what separates a good phone from a great one. Now let's talk about charging, an area where expectations have been sky high. The S26 Ultra now supports 60W wired charging. While some competitors are pushing past 100W or even 2000W, this jump from the previous 45W limit is a real step up for Samsung. You can realistically go from near empty to around 75 or 80% in about 30 minutes. For most people, that top-up speed is more than enough to get through the rest of the day. But there is a catch that users need to be aware of. To hit these full speeds, you strictly need Samsung's newer 60W charger. Older 65W bricks from third-party manufacturers, or even older Samsung chargers, may not trigger the maximum charging protocol due to differences in power delivery negotiation. It is slightly frustrating, especially since the charger is not included in the box, forcing you to buy it separately if you want the fastest speeds. However, the speed boost itself is noticeable in daily life, turning a long charging session into a quick pit stop. Camera performance is another area where the improvements feel practical rather than dramatic. Samsung has resisted the urge to simply increase megapixel counts, focusing instead on the quality of the capture. The shutter speed is significantly faster, virtually eliminating lag between pressing the button and capturing the image. Motion blur is reduced, making it easier to capture sharp photos of moving subjects like children or pets. Night mode processing feels cleaner, with less noise and more natural color retention in low-light environments. Video creators will particularly appreciate the new APV codec support. This is Samsung's high bitrate professional video format, designed to capture maximum detail and dynamic range for post-production editing. But be warned, storage fills up fast. We are talking about gigabytes of data for just seconds of footage. This feature is clearly aimed at serious creators who need the highest fidelity possible, not the average user snapping clips for social media. For the general population, the standard video modes have also received AI enhancements that stabilize footage better and manage exposure transitions more smoothly. The S Pen remains a defining feature of the Ultra line, and its integration continues to evolve. It is important to note that Samsung has deliberately chosen not to integrate strong internal magnets for accessory attachment due to EMR interference concerns. Strong magnetic fields can disrupt the precise electromagnetic resonance required for the S Pen to function accurately. That is why stacking magnetic accessories, such as certain wallet cases or lens attachments, may cause temporary input issues or jittery lines when drawing. It is not a defect in the phone, it is a limitation of physics. Samsung is reportedly working toward better magnetic compatibility in future iterations, perhaps through shielding or alternative attachment methods, but for now, it is something to be aware of if you rely heavily on the stylus for professional work. Despite this, the latency is lower than ever, making writing feel as natural as putting pen to paper. Speaker quality has also seen a welcome improvement. The sound profile feels fuller and slightly louder without introducing distortion at higher volumes. The bass response is tighter, and the highs are crisper, creating a more immersive experience for media consumption. It is not a massive, revolutionary change, but side-by-side comparisons reveal better balance and depth, making the stereo separation more distinct. Design-wise, the bezels appear slightly different to the naked eye, giving the impression of a more immersive screen. However, precise measurements show they are nearly identical to last year's model. What has changed is the frame thickness and the curvature of the edges, creating a visual illusion that makes the black borders recede further. The device is still large though, and one-handed use remains challenging for many people. This is undeniably a power user phone, designed for those who prioritize screen real estate and battery life over compactness. And here is something people often overlook in the frenzy of launch week: Samsung's conservative marketing approach. In an industry where brands frequently exaggerate claims to generate hype, Samsung seems to be taking the opposite route. Official battery life estimates and charging speed numbers often seem slightly lower than what real-world testing actually shows. They under-promise and over-deliver. That is rare in today's market. Here, performance often exceeds expectations, leading to a sense of pleasant surprise rather than disappointment. It suggests a confidence in the product that doesn't need hyperbole to sell it. So, what is the Galaxy S26 Ultra really about? It is not about radical reinvention or shocking the world with a foldable form factor or a holographic display. It is about refinement. It is about taking an already excellent foundation and making it better in ways that matter for long-term usability. It is about better thermals that keep the phone cool and efficient. It is about smarter software with One UI 8.5 that anticipates your needs. It is about improved privacy tools that give you control in a public world. It is about faster charging that fits your schedule. It is about more efficient performance that sustains peak speeds. And it is about a display that quietly becomes one of the most color, accurate, and versatile panels Samsung has ever shipped. It may look similar on the outside to the phones that came before it, but inside, it is a smarter, more capable Ultra. And that is exactly what makes it interesting. It proves that innovation doesn't always have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes, the best upgrades are the ones you feel in your daily routine, rather than the ones you read on a spec sheet. This is Tech Gadget, bringing you real insights beyond the spec sheet. If you found this deep dive helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more daily tech updates. We have plenty more content coming up, exploring the nuances of the devices that shape our digital lives. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.